Hello, and welcome to Mile High Game Guy's fancy interview thing. I'm not sure if the thing is on there, but I'm your host, Jeff, and I'm joined today by Jake from The Draft Mechanic.
Hello.
Hello.
The Draft Mechanic. So very formal about it.
Well, from The Draft Mechanic show. There is more than one.
There you go. Yes.
Your wonderful co-host is not here today, because this is a one-on-one interview.
No. Hello. I am the other one in the one-on-one.
We all know that we like her more.
It's true. You can get her on, and then you will have an entire hour of New Jersey accent.
Oh, boy. Yes. Thrilling. So, we haven't done a fancy interview thing in a while, and we were chit-chatting at Geekway about production things, and via text, and you showed me your crazy preparation you do for episodes. And
I do preparation? I guess that's what that is.
Yeah, it's way more than what we do. So I was so blown away that I wanted to chit-chat with you, just because you're also a cool person, but also for a reason for this episode to exist besides our usual, normal, everyday banter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Just so you're aware, if you do not already listen to Draft Mechanic, you will occasionally hear a live studio cat running around this room. He does have a bell on him. That is not me. That is the cat that has a bell on him.
We just assume you do to keep track of you in the dark.
In case I get lost in the crowd, yes.
Yes.
Oh, he's going to come and sit. He's literally sitting at my feet staring up at me because dinner is within the next 4 hours. So he's decided that it's time to start watching us intently.
Yes. My roommate has a cat, but it is very nice. And that's about it for that cat. So, I guess the first time I met you was at Gen Con, at that meetup in that middle beer garden area.
Oh, the incredibly well-planned meetup that we had for Punchboard Media, right? Like a month after we launched,
yes.
We decided, let's just meet up outside because it's Gen Con and you can't actually get space to meet there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was that one.
I remember you handed me a Punchboard Media card, and I said, hello, I'm Jeff. I'm part of the Mile High Game Guys, also a member of Punchboard Media.
Oh, yes. I think one of the funniest things about us doing these meetups in that first 6 months or so is that none of us had ever seen each other, especially those on the podcast side, because we're so used to just hearing each other's voices. We talk on the Slack. Maybe you'd see a little 16 by 16 icon for somebody's picture, but that's really about it. So when I ran into you guys there, I'm just like, hey, I'm Jake. And you're like, yeah, we're also on this thing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I don't have to, I've talked to you already. I know who you are.
Yes. Very much so. And I think that was the one Gen Con that we actually had all three of us at it. Mm-hmm. So and I guess you've met all of us separately.
Yeah. I think Geekway last year, all three of you went to Geekway last year, right?
Think so?
Yeah. The very first bottle share that we unintentionally did together.
Yes.
Yeah, because Adrian was super sick and he taught us Vinos.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Yeah. No Adrian this year, but next year, now that it's a little later, it doesn't come over his girlfriend's birthday. So,
man, I love Geekway so much.
It's
I'm
fun.
A little bit bummed that Geekway and Origins are back-to-back weekends next year, because that means I probably won't do both.
Brutal.
Because Geekway is so fun. I love it so much. My favorite convention of the year, and I will always 100% take that over Origins.
I haven't been to Origins. I was kind of planning on going this year, but with how much vacation I had to blow with a broken leg, I wasn't able to make it work. What sucks is this work week is so light that I could skip tomorrow and Friday and be totally fine.
You could do it. Just don't do it on the podcast. Cut this segment.
Cut it.
I am last minute going to Origins. It came together in the last 2 weeks or so that I had enough time on the schedule and vacation time and frequent flyer miles and air mattress and a floor to sleep on. So I'm just going to fly up tomorrow. I'm actually, we're recording this Wednesday.
Yes.
So I'm going to fly up tomorrow morning. If you guys put this up on Friday, you can come to the Punchboard Media meetup. It's tonight, Friday, in the Unpub room at Origins.
Okay.
And I'll be there.
Is there bottle sharing?
No, probably not.
No.
No, it's a very, very sponsored event. I mean, Origins has kind of always been the Punchboard Media con that we go to en masse. And I think, both you and I have never had a chance to go to this thing before, but everybody else goes. Buscemi is there, Patrick Hillier is there, the Open Seat Gaming team are there. Who else? Paul Grogan's going to be there. He's coming all the way from the UK. He's going to come to that meetup, and just a whole bunch of people are coming to that event.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to get to Origins. It's on the list.
Yeah.
Gen Con is definitely what I'm going to next. I'm sure you will also be there.
Yeah. I like Gen Con. I'm just I'm at the point where I start stressing about Gen Con in January, and that is not healthy it's not healthy to be stressing about one convention for 8-9 months. Not just like every day I'm just like, I'm stressed out, but just this low level anxiety of there's quiet in my life and I'm sitting back. I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to walk back and forth between the Sheraton a whole bunch this year. This is going to be great. I'm really excited to have that hotel 1.5 miles away from the convention center because Gen Con can't bother to plan enough hotel blocks for everybody.
Yeah.
Not that there's enough hotels.
Living space is the only part I ever really stress about. It's just driving back and forth and somewhere to park, but then I just spend all day there and then just go home, whatever. Makes it hard.
Where are you guys staying this year?
We're not sure yet because we're not sure who's going yet. If Zach's going, we're not sure who's going. Period. Except I'm definitely going. Zach's a maybe. Our huge crew from last year, pretty much everyone's a no.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like, meh.
Yep.
It's too many convention people.
Yeah, I think that Gen Con's more of a cool industry event and less of a cool, go and play games event unless you're really into all that new awesome stuff. Especially for everyone out here in Denver, because it is quite a trek to get out there. But we might have a small
no question about that.
Shoved into a Red Roof Inn 20 miles outside of town or something. Mm-hmm. We'll make it work.
Yeah, we had a giant group of people that came up from Charlotte, not last year, but the year before, and it was a lot of fun. I feel like we had a ton of fun as a group, but it really has gotten to the point where if you're not going to do the hotness and do the meet everything, you don't need to go to Gen Con. And honestly, I would really prefer if a lot of you stopped going to Gen Con so it was easier to get downtown housing at all.
68,000, 67,000 people? Something like that?
Yeah, I thought this was going to be lighter. This is year 51, and I kind of expected it to be a little bit lighter. I don't know why I thought that might be true versus 50 last year, but it sounds like it's going to sell out, a month or so in advance. They're already kind of running low on the 4-day passes, which blew my mind.
Yeah, I was always worried. I always get the press pass media badge for a podcast, but it always comes so late that I'm worried that I might get declined or something and be like, oh shit, now I just can't go.
Yep.
That was my peak board game media anything is actually getting a press pass to Gen Con. That was super cool. I have it literally hanging up in front of me on my wall.
Oh, I keep all these badges, dude. Keep them all. It just feels great to look at that and just like, oh, I'm relevant to literally somebody in the industry. It feels good. Or maybe they just click yes on everything, which considering how long that press, it's always funny to me. And I think you sat in the press line with us this last year, right?
I met
or
up
did
with
you
you
just show up a little bit later?
Because you got there at god awful early.
6 a.m.
I got there at 7:40 and it was opening up at 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was extremely hungover from the previous night. That's when because Kilroy's, the place that we always go to nearby, had half off drinks. So it was half off 32 ounce drinks. Long Island iced teas. And that was also the night that my best friend and coworker became not a coworker anymore. He was let go from the company.
Right.
And I had found that out that night as well. So I was going hard.
Yeah, some additional beverages went in after that. I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah, that was a sad day. But I still rolled my ass off the floor and got to that press line.
I don't know why. This is a thing. This is probably, I guess this Gen Con coming up will be the 4th or 5th year that I've gotten a press badge. And Danielle and I always joke about it beforehand. And she's like, yeah, you get the press badge because I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. to go sit in a line. And without fail, I'm usually I'm an early person. For work, I'm always waking up 5, 6 a.m. anyway. So for me to wake up at 5 a.m. and roll out of bed, shower, get myself all feeling good, and then roll down to the press room where it's really quiet and I can just sit there and play some games on my phone for a while. It's not a hassle, but without fail, 6 a.m. I'm there and there's maybe 4 other people in line and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was the first half hour I'm sitting there, it's this is a really fucking dumb idea. Why am I here this early? And thankfully this last year, Brandon Kemp from What Did You Play This Week, he showed up early as well. So we got to hang out and Travis Hill came by, you came by, and it's always kind of fun to hang out in that press line. Yeah. But you also have to wake up really early for that.
I was way too hungover to be standing in that line.
Yeah,
but I made it.
Yeah, it's a lay down in that line kind of situation for you.
Oh, I should have. Oh, that would have been a good idea.
You just grab a chair and just kind of drag it along the floor with you for a few. And then you got to go get in that other line. And that's the thing that always bugs me is that after you get in that line, you get your badge, you have to go get in the VIG and early access line. Yep. And you jumped me in line because Brandon and Travis and I went to go get donuts for some reason because Travis needed coffee. Travis is a coffee guy and he found a coffee spot. We're going to go get the coffee. And we got back in line and stood in that line for an hour and a half. And it's just all this extra nonsense you go through.
Yeah.
But this is all a very long roundabout way of saying, I think they give it to everybody because in that press line at 6 a.m., once it was up to 50 people, I only recognized like 4% of the media outlets. And like, I'm sure that everybody else in that line is looking at me as like, who is this motherfucker?
Yeah.
What are we doing about craft beer on board games? We don't need to have board game beer things.
Absolutely we do.
Speaking of, what are you drinking? Because I have no doubt that both of us are drinking during this recording.
Absolutely. I'm drinking a stem cidery off-dry cider.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you are?
Oh, I am drinking from Burial Beer Company, which is contractually non-obligated for me to mention every time I'm talking about beer. This is their Mexican chocolate skillet. They do skillet donut stout, and this year for their 6 Ways party, they did a Mexican chocolate version of it. So it's got like some spiced chili and chocolate and habaneros and all this stuff. And I'm wearing a Burial Beer Company t-shirt, actually, now that I realized it.
Yep.
Which is actually the t-shirt of the beer I was drinking before we started recording. Because
you are on brand.
They don't pay me any money yet, and I kind of want to just continue to push this until they actually start paying me money to mention them continually at all times. Burial Beer Company in Asheville, North Carolina, burialbeer.com if you want to go to their website and see what kind of beers they have.
I may as well plug Epic Brewing, the brewery that I work at, that I am not drinking right now.
They pay you. They pay you.
Yeah, I get paid. I don't have to push them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. They just sign my paychecks.
Burial's been friends. Like, I've been friends with those guys since they opened up actually, they're coming up on their 6th anniversary this coming weekend.
6 years?
And it's just been, 6 years. Wow. And it's been crazy to watch them go from this like 3-gallon system up to having 2 facilities and brewing like, 60, 120 barrel batches, this kind of just giant stuff. And they're doing like 10 IPAs every month or something like that, and just all this crazy ass nonsense. But they're freaking awesome. Some of the best people in the world. You've
brought them to the multiple bottle shares, and I've always enjoyed everything I've had.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually kind of bummed that Skillet 6 Ways was after Geekway, because if I had brought this and the seasoned Skillet, which is the bourbon barrel age, they did 12% this year, and it pours like freaking tar.
Wow,
it's insane.
That's impressive. I'm a big fan of our whiskey barrel aged imperial stout, the Big Bad Baptist.
Oh, we are huge fans of Baptist and Baptista over here. I think I still have a triple barrel bottle hanging out and just kind of leave it in the closet for a few years until it does whatever it decides to do.
It decides that the coffee and coconut go bad.
That's fine. That's kind of like what I was talking about with these stouts that have crazy adjuncts and stuff in them. I don't mind losing a few if I know the base is going to be good, especially when you get some kind of a barrel aged thing like that. Because even if it turns out bad, it probably did something interesting. And I'd rather have an interesting beer experience than another barrel aged stout. And Epic's one of the breweries that I really trust to do something good and the base that's going to be interesting no matter what the story is.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do this year. We did the quadruple barrel last year with the whiskey barrel aged almonds, coconut, and coffee, and imperial stout. So the quadruple barrel.
Try to talk them into doing some kind of like absinthe inspired thing. So it was like an absinthe inspired triple that Burial did for one of these random one-off bottles they did. And it was just like the weirdest freaking thing ever.
Yeah, that would be interesting. There's another brewery around here, D-Bolt Brewing. They do some like gruits and absinthe like stuff sometimes, which is interesting.
Man, we got to get out there sometime. Danielle and I are going to take a trip out to Denver at some point and come hang out and play board games and drink beer with y'all, or mainly just drink beer.
Yeah, and
then play We're Doomed pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, but that one's been a big hit around here as well lately.
So fun.
Yes. I think Adrian had his one game of it, and now he's done.
Yeah, we had 1 or 2 people in our group. We played that at our last meetup, and we got to the end of it, and one of our friends is just like, nope, you know what? I am good, and I will move on. I will stand over here and drink cider. Y'all have a great time. I don't need that ever in my life.
Yeah, the way I teach it now is just like, just so you know, this game is called We're Doomed, : it is total bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Super fun.
We drew one event card. I don't know if this has come up for you yet, but it's like a red tape thing. And before taking any action, the player that gets that card has to count down to 60. before they can take an action.
I have not seen that one yet, but it sounds
now
fun.
It's annoying, but now imagine if it was the first card you drew. And the entire game, this one player is the last person in turn order most of the time because the person next to them always is going to be throwing in the resources or whatever. And they have to count up to 60 every time they want to do anything. So you get this crazy just panic. Everybody's freaking out. And then it gets around to the one person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just so on and so forth. That was not the best game of We're Doomed.
We had one that we got the card that lets you flip the timer. Mm-hmm. And it happened when there was only 2 people left in the game. And so they got another, it was all the way at the end. So they had another, 14 minutes and 40 seconds of play.
Oh, no.
Yeah. At that point,
I would assume they both got off the planet.
Yeah. I think they were just trying to nuke each other. I think someone finally nuked the other one and was just like, all right.
I take all the resources.
This is mine. I leave the planet.
Just We're Doomed is one of those games that I feel like could have only launched at a convention. Just getting a chance to play that at Geekway, and y'all talked about that in your episode. We'll talk about it probably in the next few weeks as we're going through review of it. But it's just like, this is a game that has to launch at a convention because I feel like if you played this completely sober in the middle of the day at a games party, nobody would enjoy it. Or people 2 people would enjoy it and the rest of people just be like, I want to go move cubes. Hey,
yeah,
I need to get cubes. Can we farm something now, please?
I want to ship on the Mediterranean and nothing else.
Y'all seen boats? Let's go move some boats.
And that's the reason I even knew I wanted to play it, is because someone had drawn the clapping card while they have to read out the card. And everyone in their table was clapping. And then the entire convention started clapping because they thought something was going on the other end. And I was like,
oh, that's great.
That game sounds fantastic.
Please tell me what they're doing. I'll have one of those, please.
Yes, 100%. I'll have what she's having.
We had a card come up that was you have to walk around the room and give a rousing speech and touch people on the shoulder and all that one. I think we had that come up at Geekway as well. But somebody, once I said the line that if you touch somebody's shoulders twice, you're disqualified, and I may have got shoulder checked into a wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is... I touched shoulders twice, but because I didn't finish reading the card before I did it.
They hide that at the end.
Yeah. And my favorite is one where you get eliminated if you ever pull out or touch your phone for the rest of the game. So someone decided to pull out their phone and was eliminated and then throw it at me. And so it technically touched me, and so I was out of the game.
You're gone.
Yep. Yeah, We're Doomed continues to be real good. For most people. Most well-adjusted human adults.
And honestly, the people that are more well-adjusted than us that don't want to play it, that's totally fine, because you probably shouldn't be playing this thing if you're that well-adjusted.
I don't want to be friends with them. Yeah, Adrian.
Specifically Adrian.
Yeah, specifically Adrian. I have to at least say fuck Adrian once contractually per episode.
It's contractual. It's part of the Gray Fox deal that we both have.
Yes. So I guess that leads us on to getting to know you, because, we're 19 minutes into this now.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should do the structured part of this podcast.
Oh, whatever. So...
Getting to know me.
Yes. Specifically
that's the
you.
Only line I know if that's all. Yeah.
How did you get into this wide world of crazy board games? I think
generally
Monopoly, right?
The first... Oh, yeah. No, when I think about getting into board games, the very first thing that I think about is taking the shrink wrap off of it. Usually I use a fingernail and I go around the outside of the box. After the shrink wrap's off, you take the box top off, and it's really easy to get into the games that way. So that's kind of my preferred method to get into board games.
I asked for this.
I've been thinking about that one literally all day because I knew you were going to ask that. No, getting into board games, I've played games in general all my life. When I was growing up, my dad and I used to play Mealborn, the card game, literally all the time, to the point where over the last 30 years, he and I have gotten each other a copy of Mealborn for a birthday. Probably every 5 years or so, somebody gives it to the other. And other little games, my mom and I played Amazing Labyrinth when I was a kid, the one where you're sliding tiles between the different blocks and you're moving a path around that. But when you talk about real hobby board games, this is probably where a lot of people that are listening to podcasts and are board gaming now probably got in and don't want to admit, I got in by watching Will Wheaton's Tabletop.
Ooh.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I played some Catan and I played like some other little stuff here and there. But like, I remember watching the first few episodes of Tabletop. I'm just like, oh, these things are great. Even with the level of ham that there is on this TV show or this YouTube show.
Yeah.
But like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now in life. And I remember like Danielle and I, she found Tabletop and she's like, hey, watch this. You know, there's some funny people on it. We're going to watch this thing. I'm like, okay, cool. And just watching that, I'm just like, all right, cool. So for Christmas that year, she got me, I think, Carcassonne, and I got her Arkham Horror, which is like, that's how we're going to start. We're going to start with Arkham Horror. We watched like a 7-hour how to play of Arkham Horror 2nd edition, and then literally spent an entire day, 12 hours was like the very first thing we played was like a 12-hour game of Arkham Horror that we obviously died horribly. And, you know, it was just like, oh boy, this is, whew.
It probably started
Anyway,
going
let's
bad
play
at hour 7.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just took that long
Let's
to
play
die.
Carcassonne instead.
Yeah.
So like Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride, you know, all of that kind of early 2000s, mid 2000s, no, I guess that's 2010-ish, the late 2000s, early 2010s generation of games is where we got in, you know, and then we found our local game stores. We have one up north of Charlotte in Cornelius called Parker, Banner, Kenton, Wayne, which is a freaking awesome name for a store.
Yeah.
It's mainly a comic shop, but they also do games. We started going to their game nights, started getting deeper and deeper into games, and they had just a huge game library, and like literally all of our current game group friends we met there. And now, you know, like if you ever listen to our Time Stories episode, you'll hear Dan and Tamara and Daniel and Steven and Nathan and all of them. They all came in because we met them up there. And just like, it's such a cool thing to meet a group of people and just become gaming friends with them. And really, if it wasn't for that, I don't think we would have been playing board games for the last 10 years at this point. But it is, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah. Awesome. I started around like with the like Arkham Horror, but I had a weird like my parents never played games. I never played games until like a significant other's like I got in a relationship with this girl and her parents were super nerdy, so they had all the cool board games, and that's where I started.
Nice.
And about the same time, like one of Arkham Horror is like one of the first like games like that I played. It's awesome.
We've played Arkham Second a handful of times, and it's one of those things we continue to take to like flea markets and stuff because we just kind of want to get rid of it because it's not a game that works in our life anymore. We don't have time to play a 6-hour convoluted game like that. And frankly, as we've become, you know, more and deeper into this hobby, we find we don't really like the Ameritrash stuff a lot. Like, I guess we've never really talked about this on our podcast, but we've really kind of gotten away from anything that has a miniature in it in the last 2 to 3 years, except for Scythe, because Scythe is a transcendent game that everybody should love.
I just built an insert for that.
I saw you got the broken token insert. You got to go find the legendary box now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they will probably have some of those at the Meeple Source booth at Gen Con. So maybe if you don't see it before then, that's an option for you.
Yeah.
Nobody listening, nobody go there because Jeff needs to buy it.
Yes, absolutely.
Legendary box is really nice.
And take it back to Denver with me.
Yeah. Y'all are driving, right?
No, I don't think I could drive out
You're
again.
flying.
I will probably fly.
Man. We're driving. It's not that bad of a drive for us. It's like 9 hours.
I mean,
after driving to Geekway and back is kind of like, that's like, okay, that's 12 hours. That's my limit.
Yeah, that was what we did for Geekway. And I think I'm done driving to Geekway as well. But I fly into Chicago for cheap and then borrow a car from a family member. And then it's only like a 3-hour drive from Chicago to Indianapolis.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
And you can stop at Beer Temple or something and, you know, load up on your way down.
3 Floyds. Definitely 3 Floyds.
I chose between, I was going to open my one Zombie Dust or if I was going to open its Mexican chocolate skillet. And I went with the dark kind of, you know, show off beer. So that's what I decided to do tonight.
Very fancy. I mean, I can reach 3 feet in any direction and probably pull out a bottle of Baptist that's in my closet cellar. But
okay, well, like I have a wooden chest over here that I keep the really good burial shit in. So I've got the Hood and Hammer double barrel aged barley wine. I've got the first year sours in there. Over there is the anniversary beers. So like, if you want to get in a fight, I don't wanna because I don't like to actually physically, you know, punch people. It's not good
with beer collections.
Yeah, don't punch. Just share the beer. Just share it.
The beer.
Share the beer.
My friend Ant, who I've used to work at with Epic, has a legendary beer cellar. Like the stuff
I can imagine.
The stuff that he has is absolutely amazing, top to bottom. And he moved into a smaller place and had to clear out some of it. So we had like an Imperial Salt session like every Tuesday for like 5 weeks, and he'd break out like 12-year aged Avery sours and like Dark Lord. And we did like a vertical of Dark Lord because they had changed. He knew they had changed the recipe in this year, so we sort of were able to try it and see what like the differences were. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a big difference? It tastes a lot different.
It got a lot sweeter and worse.
Okay. Yeah. No doubt there. Yeah, Dark Lord. Like, this is kind of how I feel about any beer that people like freak out about. It's like Dark Lord. Oh my God, everybody got to go down to Cigar City. You got to get Hunapoo, or you got to go get Pliny the Younger. And I look at all these like super hyped beers, and I look at like the breweries in Charlotte. And I'm like, I guarantee somebody in Charlotte is doing it as good. And people need to get off the freaking whale boats already and just drink the beer that is right down your street, because I guarantee that, 1 or 2 year old brewery that's had, I don't know, 20 years of research that they've been able to see all these people do it, they're probably doing it just as good. Please stop overpaying for secondary bottles of beer and just drink the good stuff you can.
Yeah, like the brewery I had mentioned earlier, Diebold, that like no one has ever heard of. A French-style brewery. They won World Beer Cup Gold in the aged beer category, like last year, year before, for their Russian Imperial Stout. Like, they're doing really good stuff, too. Like, I love that place.
Like, there's this restaurant chain up in Delaware, southern Jersey, and eastern kind of like Philly area called Iron Hill. And they it looks like just generic big restaurant chain. But their Russian Imperial Stouts won medals at GABF like 6 out of the last 12 years. And like, I don't understand why people aren't freaking out and going out of their way for them all the time. It's great fucking beer.
Yeah.
Stop overhyping whales and drink what you got.
Russian River is
overrated. Stay away from Burial, because I need to still get their beer. They're starting to really face a lot of that kind of whale hunting. And so like a lot of the super weird specialty stuff they do, they release like middle of the week and just kind of do it quietly because they know that people are going to fly in and drive 10 hours. Like, oh, I got to go get my skillet so I can turn it on the secondary market.
Gross. Secondary market beer buying. Boo indeed.
That's why one thing I really love about Epic and, the weird barrel stuff that they do is like, you all have really good distribution, and you can get Baptist anywhere. And that's good because it's a damn good beer.
You're welcome. That's like my job.
Yeah. You put it on the pallet and you send it to North Carolina for me.
I sure do.
Appreciate it.
Durham.
How long have you been with Epic now?
Let's see. This is June. So a year and 10 months. It's almost 2 years.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought some beer that you've, put on a pallet and directed in our direction.
Hopefully. Not stuff before my time.
No, I didn't buy a single bottle of your beer until I knew you worked there.
Well, hopefully it's still not on the shelf from before I worked there.
No. I remember like buying a few, like we had batch like 6 or 7 or 8 of Baptist. And like I bought like 6 bottles of it because it was like, this is fucking great. Everybody needs to get this beer. And I found one in the closet like last year after we met you guys. I'm like, oh, geez. Yeah. I wonder if anybody knows what this one's all about. I think I talked about it in your Slack. I'm like, I found this batch 8 bottle. It was good. It was really good. Still a great, fantastic base beer. Yeah.
I'm sure Ant would be able to tell you everything about it because I'm sure he made them all from then until like batch 98 or something crazy.
Jeez. Yeah. Yep. Well, good job, Ant. Yeah. I'm sure you're listening to this podcast.
He does. I mean, we should mention Blood Bowl at some point or another. Just say Blood Bowl 3 times, and it's like Beetlejuice.
Blood Bowl 3 times. Yeah.
And it summons him like Beetlejuice. I guess we should get on to what I'd wanted to do this podcast about.
Yeah, sure.
Production. We got into a little bit with how we met with our various cons and our board game media. We're talking into microphones about board games, and that's all it takes. So you guys are on episode 102?
Yeah, 102 will be... Oh, crap, did we just do 102? I think we just did 101. No, this was 102 this week.
Yes.
Maybe. Probably. I don't remember. We're over 100, so I don't have to care anymore. Now we just put podcasts.
Staring at your website, and I can tell you 102, called Polyominu.
Oh, Polyomino. Yeah.
Polynomino Uwe?
Polyomino. Yeah, we did a compare contrast of the 3 Polyomino series games from Uwe Rosenberg.
Ah, neat.
That was fun.
Very neat.
Lots of shapes. Lots of rectangular shapes.
Not Tetris.
Mm-mm.
But I do love...
Legally, not Tetris.
But I do love Tetris. On the Switch. In Tetris 99.
Yeah, Tetris 99 was a smart freaking idea. That's a great game.
Yeah, and I missed out on
I haven't touched it in a while.
I missed out on their weekend tournament where it unlocked a skin where you could get the Game Boy skin.
A skin?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That makes it just look like the original Game Boy Tetris.
All right.
It wouldn't be a Mile High Game Guys podcast without talking about something in the middle of something else.
Yeah. This is a tangent.
Yes. So you're at 102. You guys record every other week?
Yes, we are every other week because I travel a lot for work, and also, I don't have the time to do it more. We did one summer, I think it was episodes 50 through 57, where we did it every week. It was the week after Dice Tower. It was between Dice Tower Con and Gen Con one year. We're we played so many games at Dice Tower Con. We could totally do this every week. And by the 5th week in, I made 1 or 2 really dumb rules errors and was nope, fuck this. I don't have the brain width to make this happen. And Danielle had gotten to the point where she's I can't do this many beer segments this quickly. And we're just you know what? Every 2 weeks is good. That gives enough time for people to listen to the episode before we have another episode and, digest and move on with their lives and listen to the, 75 hours that you guys put out between our episodes.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, it's been a really good schedule. And with volatility of life, it's been really helpful for me that we're doing every 2 weeks.
That sounds like a wonderful schedule.
Well, you also have 3 people to do the work. It's me and Danielle, and we are 100%. That is our weekend, is do this thing. And obviously during the week we're playing games, but we only have the one computer. It's not like we can both do things at our house. We don't really split the tasks a lot other than the research and such.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 3 people all living in the same general area that all have 3 different lives, and one can sit at home and play games with his girlfriend. Zach and I can go out to all of these various game things that we do, and we just have a lot of, I don't know, manpower, I guess.
Yeah.
And friends that buy really expensive games that we can play.
Yeah, we're also the game buyers in our group, which is also, I guess it's been getting better in the last few years as we've kind of, focused on, all right, planning ahead. These are the games we're going to look at soon. And we can just say, okay, this one is all we're going to get this particular month. But just, if I'm playing a game, I'm probably playing with Danielle at some point, because why would I not? Because we live together, we are married, and it is the kind of the way that life works.
Yeah. It's I don't feel like playing games with you today.
I mean, that's how Tantrum House is able to put out the content they are. There's 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 married couples there, and they can just do so much stuff. And I'm so envious of them all being under one umbrella, being able to do that much work. And that's why they get, literally every Kickstarter preview. And, but this is the level that works for us at this time.
Yeah.
The cat can't play games. He has no thumbs. And
it
also
would end the world.
He's kind of a lazy asshole as well. He's just laying on the floor, just belly up right now, just staring at me. He's like, "What? You want me to do work? I'm not going to fucking do work for you, man. I want to give me some food."
Like cats do.
Mm-hmm.
So, when did you guys start Draft Mechanic?
Okay, so let's see. We are going to be finishing season 4, year 4, September. So 18, 17, 16, 15. So Gen Con 2015. Yeah, Gen Con was the first con we went to as an entity, I guess. And we recorded shortly thereafter and kind of started early September, late August. That's the right month, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But we actually started Draft Mechanic a year before that. Just kind of posting on Instagram and, doing stuff like that. And then in January of 2015, we said, all right, we should do a podcast because I have a background in radio. I did radio for 5 years at Virginia Tech when I was in school. WVTFM 90.7 Blacksburg, the greatest radio station in the world. Thank you very much. And Danielle, who also went to Tech with me.
It can't be anything less.
Yeah, she co-hosted with me for a bunch of years. So she was, super familiar with radio and being on air. And both of us have the ability, and this is something I don't have to worry about on your show, but we have the ability to say freaking instead of fucking all the time. Just because when you're in front of a live mic that the FAA might be listening to, not the FAA, the
FCC.
FCC, the other fucking letters. I don't know. The FCC.
What about radio waves in the air, not about the planes in the air?
Yeah, the airwaves. When they might be listening, and at any time you could get your station fined like 6 figures by saying fuck.
Oof.
Then you learn to not say those words really well. So Danielle and I said, hey, we love this board game thing. We've been in it for a little while now. We're listening to all these other podcasts. We've done radio before. We're human beings that have technology. Why don't we have a podcast? And then we did. And then it was horrible. So
ours too.
Like, this is all right. Hot take here. If you actually go back and count, the first episode of Draft Mechanic is episode 3. Episodes 1 and 2 never existed.
We weren't as bold as to not put out our original episodes, I believe.
Hey, you guys redid an episode 1 or episode 0 after the fact, I think, 2 years ago or something, or 1 year or something. I remember you guys redoing episode 1 or something, or putting a new episode up as some low number to trick people.
Yeah, something like that. Like making something not exist anymore. Like our kitchen episode from Gen Con that year, which was like episode 13 or something like that, from a really echoey kitchen.
Mm-hmm. So we recorded episode 1, and it was like our best games of the year 2014, and I think we did Dead of Winter on tap for the first one, something like that. And then the second episode was also very bad, and then the third one, we took 6 months off, and we're just like, this is terrible, we should never do this thing. And got to the point where I'm just like, let's pretend we started on episode 3 and didn't have to introduce the manifesto of why Draft Mechanic exists. And that actually made it really easy to start. And don't ever, listeners out there, and Jeff included, you are listening to me right
Correct.
now. Do not go back and listen to the first 10 episodes of any podcast ever.
No.
Not just me for my hubris. I am saying this to you, the listener, for anybody out there. Don't go back and listen to early episodes of podcasts you love, because they were shit. They were really bad. Our first episode was 39 minutes long and is a podcast that exists. I don't want to go into it more. I think we did Discoveries, the Journals of Lewis and Clark dice game, which was actually really good, and Ashes. And we talked about pumpkin beer for 10 minutes.
Okay.
No, it was bad. But yeah, it is one of those things that it just kind of becomes a routine, especially when you got that cycle. I'm sure you guys have gotten to the point where what points in the week you're going to be like, all right, Monday is our recording day. We're going to make this thing great. You're tackling this. And it starts to get to the point where you just feel really comfortable in that routine. And that's where we are 102 episodes in, where we're doing these, big in-depth, Danielle did a 20-minute thing on Trappist beers in episode 100. That's one of the most complicated topics that she's ever covered in beer, and it made it look like a fucking breeze. And it's just it's great. You can get to that point someday. Everybody can get to that point someday. Just continue on with things.
Yeah.
I don't know why I became motivational there. Fuck everything. Fuck.
Boo. Yeah. Boo motivation.
Boo. We're all gonna die.
We used to record 1 episode a week.
Yeah. Remember back in the day when you guys only did 1 episode a week?
Then they started hitting 3 hours. And then we're like, let's just do 2 1-hour episodes. And now we do 2 hour and a half episodes.
Mm-hmm. 2 2-hour episodes. This is actually something this last episode 102, we, in our recent plays section where Danielle had Lotus and I had Scoville of games that we had recently played. And we've talked about those before on the podcast. And I remember looking at the show notes and we've talked about these before, but oh my God, it's been 85 episodes since we talked about Scoville. I think that's okay if I talk about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of liberating to say I'm allowed to bring games back up again and get to the point where you're able to I can just spend 5 minutes on this instead of we're going to go super deep in it for 15. And then of course that episode's still 1:45, which is longer than I want.
Yeah. What would you say your average episode length is?
At this point, 1:45 plus or minus 15 is where we are. And by plus or minus, I mean plus.
Yeah.
I feel like everything in the last few months has been 1:45 to 2 hours. I would love to be 1:30, but at the same time, I don't want to stop talking about a board game, especially in a future review where we've really got on something good. this is like the Polyomino series games that we just talked about is a set of games that like I feel like people didn't talk about a whole lot other than, oh, they're not Patchwork, so they're not as good. But like I was really impressed that Danielle and I were able to dig so much out of that, especially considering we played them all together all the time. So I would have thought that we had the same opinions. And this is one of the best things about doing a podcast with my wife is that, you know, we continue to play games and we have such different opinions on a lot of stuff that I feel like it drags a lot of really cool conversation out of it, which is good because it's kind of not what I expected in life, but that's what life is.
Yeah. It's a bunch of conversations and then you die.
Yes. Mostly the death.
Yes.
I haven't died yet. Still doing good on that one.
Still rolling.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to die, but at least my leg did. Then it.
Oh man,
yeah.
Dude, I don't know how you have survived that. I've never broken a bone, and just like hearing you describe it, it just makes me like, ugh.
Yeah, I showed you the picture, right?
Oh yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. I really needed that image in my brain, but seared into my brain forever. It
was rough. Now imagine doing it on a snowboard on a snowy mountain.
I've chosen to not imagine this.
I came out okay. Yeah, so, like, a lot of people have given us criticism or feedback of, like, I want a 30-minute podcast. Have you ever gotten that from anyone?
No.
Okay.
I mean, sure. I'm sure people want 30-minute podcasts. That's why Board Game Blitz exists, and they're great, and you should go listen to them. That's why the 5-by exists, and they're great, and you should go listen to them. I mean, that's not what we're here to do. You know, we're here to riff off each other, and I think this is obviously true about the three of you guys, is that the conversation is why I'm here. I love your Wednesday episode specifically because it's 90% bullshit, but it's the bullshit of guys that I've gotten to know over the last bunch of years, and you're fucking great. And I want to hear you talk about stuff, and I want to hear Adrian get, ragged on for a little while, and then you talk about Blood Bowl, and I zone out for the next 10 miles.
Eyes glaze over.
Yeah, like, no, people don't listen to our podcast because they want a succinct view. It's because they want our view. And I think one of the things that's been most amazing to me over the last 4 years is the amount of people we have that listen to our podcast and say, I don't like beer, but I love listening to your podcast. And I still listen to the beer segments because they teach me something. And this is, all credit due to Danielle, who has been just an absolute gem learning and getting all this information and presenting it in clear, concise manner over the last 100-something episodes. But yeah, like, nobody wants a less draft mechanic, as far as I know. More than anything, I want a shorter podcast just because it takes a long time to edit.
I have not taken over the editing reins at all because it's been Zach and Adrian doing all of that. But I'm sure my time will come.
It's the kind of thing you get a groove in it. And like Danielle does does the editing on the podcast sometimes. Like if I have to travel or something, she'll take on, like, she's edited probably, I don't know, 6 of the last 20 episodes, and it comes out exactly the same because she's just as good at it. But it's the kind of thing you just get a groove on it, and you get a feel for the way you want the podcast to sound. And the technical side of it is not super complicated if you do your work up front, and also if you have a vision for what you want to do. Yeah,
vision. I need one of those.
So I guess, we can go back around to what we talked about 35 minutes ago. Uh-huh. This all came to pass because we were trading show notes or something?
Yeah, we were just texting back and forth after Geekway and talking about, like, preparation. And you had sent me a Google Sheets for your Geekway episode, and I was reading, I just was just reading through it, and I was just like, segment 1, segment 2, what? You have segments?
Well, yeah, like you guys have segments. You probably just don't, put it out as mathematically as you do. But I'm a systems-oriented guy. My work is all systems. So if I know I've got this segment, I've got this bump music, we're going to do the big feature here. We got to remember to do this. Like, it's just made it really easy to get in the routine of it, so we can focus on the content rather than the structure. And like I've always been really interested in the fact that you guys are able to, like, you're writing down show notes by hand as you go. Yeah. And like, I don't have the bandwidth in my brain to do that while I'm recording.
It helps.
And just looking at,
you have 3 people.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Except when they ask me something, it's like, all right, Jeff, what do you think? And I'm like, fuck, I gotta write shit really fast. All right, yeah. And then Blood Bowl, yes.
Or you ask Zach something, and he's like, I'm in the middle of Ganshan.
Yeah. Those dice aren't going to roll themselves.
Yeah. But like, I'll be honest, like the reason that we have such a structured Google Docs sheet is because my computer's a piece of shit. I've got a literally 11-year-old MacBook Air that we've recorded every episode of the podcast on.
We wish we had an 11-year-old MacBook Pro.
Oh, this is a MacBook Air.
Sorry,
it
MacBook
is
Air.
like, yeah, it is like the nothingness of nothing.
Adrian's headphone
and
jack
if we didn't have paper hard copies of it, if we didn't have a paper hard copy of it, there's no way we'd be able to pull up a Board Game Geek window at the same time to pull up information. So just we have a nice sheet that has a structure, has all the games, all the designers, artists, some stats, and that just makes life a hell of a lot easier.
I'm just so impressed by your show notes. Like,
oh, thank you.
You have like bump breaks. Like, let's push our Draft Mechanic t-shirts, or what's on tap. Or
it's the easiest thing in the world, dude. You just record them, and then forget about them, and then just drag and drop them in every episode.
Yeah. You had mentioned like I do show notes. We put them up on our Patreon over a certain like dollar amount. We throw those on there so you can see my terrible handwriting, and then basically everything that we cut. And like the main reason they're so useful is we have a lot of cuts due to Adrian probably going to the bathroom like 3 times, or some some tangent that we went on that had nothing to do with the show. That Zach would be like, put a cut here. Okay, let's talk about blank, or look at this funny picture that I just saw on the internet, or something like that. So that's kind of like my job is writing down all of those cuts, because our show already sounds like madness most of the time, with so many tangents, but that's the edited version that we...
I'm going to need to hear at least one unedited episode of the podcast.
It's going to be like a 10-minute break while Adrian has to go do something, probably pee.
You can cut out the piss breaks.
Yeah, and get more beer while we just talk about something or another. Usually something like game night related, with our Wednesday game nights and things like that.
I guess that's one thing that's nice about having 3 people on the podcast, is that if one of you has to go take a piss, the other 2 people can keep it up. Like if you guys do a bloody minute or something, somebody can pop out for a little while.
Yeah, that would be smart, but we don't. We just cut and then just wait until everyone is back again. And then just edit it all together to make it sound real good.
So you guys, like when you record, you're just doing the straight raw audio and then you go back and edit afterwards? Yep. Okay, so almost all of the editing that I do is real time. So we are like, I constantly will stop. We'll talk about what we're going to do next. I'll cue back up again because we record in GarageBand, and like the interface of GarageBand is so easy to stop and start and kind of drag stuff back and forth as you need. And like, by the time it gets like, we'll probably spend for an hour. Well, for this episode, for an hour 45, we recorded for a little over 3 hours, and the actual final edit, when I throw it into Audacity and I check for like cleanup bits, was probably an hour and a half, because I edit it at a speed and a half, and impressive. All of the all of the leveling and everything that I do on Draft Mechanic is straight analog. I have a mixing board here. I have a Behringer 12-channel mixing board, and I've got all the dials. So if like I need to throw in the Carcassonne, I actually do that live by turning a dial, and all of the levels and everything, like literally everything, I'm doing live, and doing dials here and there. And I mean, again, that's 5 years in college radio. You kind of get a feel for it after a while.
You've got a great radio voice.
Well, thank you. I have a voice for radio and a face for radio as well.
Yes.
At least that's what they tell you when you're in the training.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone has a face for radio.
But I think this is been one of the most interesting things about being in Punchboard Media and, meeting with you and other creators, is finding out everybody's process for how they create their content. We might all produce the same, content of a MP3 file that you download that's between 1 and 4.5 hours.
Jeez, who does
but
4.5 hours?
We all get there. I mean, Cabal,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they used to be like 3.5 to 4 hours, and now they're 0 hours on my feed. But like, you guys are putting out, 2 to 2.5 hours twice a week, but we all get there in totally different directions.
Yeah.
Where, I'm mixing analog. You guys are, taking a 15-minute piss break and all this stuff. And you're writing by hand. You're writing your show notes by hand. That blows my mind. I could never do that.
Yeah.
And you look at my show notes and you're like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And this is one of my favorite things about Punchboard Media, is that we're all so freaking collaborative. Even, stuff like this, where we're just like, hey, let's just record for a fucking hour, because why not?
Do you like beer?
We're all on a team together.
I like beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's have beer and talk about production.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the nitty gritty of this this one red dial here that turns on my FX pedal.
Ooh.
What other effects do I have on here? Hold on. Let's see what 83 is.
83 makes this sound.
Now we know.
Now we know it sounds like you're in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Just don't stream from a bathroom or you're going to get banned from Twitch.
Don't. Oh God, I'm so sorry I did that. Yo, how about that topical comment you made right there?
Yeah.
Something that happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect, disrespecting the world by streaming your bathroom.
The law of California.
Or just the law of society. Don't take your fucking live stream into a bathroom, guys.
Yeah.
Nah.
I thought,
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. He's got a fun character, but that was
Yeah.
probably not smart.
No. And, like, I'll be honest, like, in terms of Twitch, I stay in my nice little Super Mario Maker, Mario ROM hack box.
Boy.
That's all I watch. That's all I pay attention to. It's Grand Pooh Bear and Barb and X-Water and Feeny and all that good shit. And I just look at these, like, you know, we're pulling 3 million viewers, ninjas, and Dr. Disrespects. And I'm just like, but I could just watch Mario happen.
Yeah. I haven't really...
And nobody in the Mario community has ever recorded a bathroom that I'm aware of.
I mean,
yet.
They may have crafted a Mario-like bathroom.
Yeah, there's been levels.
Yes, I'm sure there has. Yeah, good times.
Have you been watching a lot of the E3 stuff this last week?
I have watched all of the Electronic 3 so far.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of E.
Yes. My favorite place to watch it, however, is with giantbomb.com. And they do like a talkover for all of the press conferences.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this.
So it's all their crew just sort of like watching it together and then just commenting on the conference as it happens. So, so you get a lot of that like professional commentary in
professionals.
That was the wrong word to use. Experience commentary.
100,000 polygon count.
Yes.
With a render distance of 1 million pixelometers.
Yes, absolutely. But they're very entertaining and funny and have a lot of cool commentary, and they can talk about like, oh yeah, I went and saw this last week. I can't talk about it for another 7 minutes, so I'm going to pretend I haven't actually seen this game yet. It's like, that footage in Doom, the creature when you shot the weapon off made a ping. That must mean something.
Oh man, sometimes there's too much analytics.
Yeah. But it was like clearly like he had seen it and knew exactly what that was beforehand, but couldn't talk about it. And he was just like sitting on his hands so much that he wanted to scream, like to be like, "I love this game. This game is so amazing."
Mm-hmm. So what blew your mind at E3 this weekend? And you're not allowed to say Keanu Reeves.
Doom Eternal.
Okay. Yeah. Yo, we're getting that on the Switch. That blows my mind that that's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be
the first
like
one was
half the resolution, but I don't care.
Yeah. Doom Eternal. Doom 2016 is one of the greatest games of the 2010s, period. I will say that.
Okay.
And then it had an amazing soundtrack, and now this is a second one, and I'm real excited.
Yeah, I might pick that up. Of modern generations, and honestly, of literally every generation, I am pure Nintendo fanboy, 100%. I have owned every console since NES, and like the Switch is the best fucking console. So the fact that we're getting a lot of those kind of heavier titles is really awesome. I'm really excited to see Doom Eternal, and like we're getting the Wolfenstein as well, which blows my mind.
The Wolfenstein 2 was on Switch as well.
Yeah. But the fact that either Doom or Wolfenstein is on a Nintendo is just like, all right.
You're getting the Witcher 3.
I thought we were stuck with Turok.
Did you play The Witcher 3?
No.
It's coming to the Switch. No. You can now.
I saw. I don't think I need that in my life. I don't think I have time for that.
It apparently runs at 540p undocked.
So I don't need that in my life. No. Like, I used to be a big FPS kid in high school, and then I got out at Quake 3. So if you want to kind of date my ability to do first-person shooters, Quake 3 Arena was the point where I just like, you know what, I probably should get off this train. I'm officially old and slow.
Yeah.
But like I had my own Quake clan back in the day, I was
more of a Tribes guy.
Okay. Yeah. I'm super excited about Empire of Sin, the new thing that Paradox Interactive has coming to us, which is like, it looks like a heavy management game of like mobs. Yeah, so Paradox Interactive did Stellaris and City Skylines and Europa.
It's like the mobster one.
Yeah, the mobster version of like Mobster Manager 2015.
Mobster XCOM.
Like, just the thought of that is a fucking cool idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like all in on Paradox, even though I've played none of their games. I just love the fact that,
And it's with John Romero, the creator of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yo, Commander Keen is coming back. Can we talk about Commander Keen being a thing? Are you old enough to remember Commander Keen?
I'm not old enough to know Commander Keen. I do know what Commander Keen is, and it is now a mobile game.
It's crazy. So Commander Keen was id Software's first game before Doom.
Yes. They the reason do you know the story of why Commander Keen exists?
Tell me the story of why Commander Keen exists.
They wanted to port Mario to Commodore or something. They wanted to port it to PC or something like that. And they were like, we can do it. Here it is. And then Nintendo's like, no, fuck you. And they're like, all right, we're just going to make Commander Keen, which is basically Mario under their own IP.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a side-scroller platformer. You have a ray gun and you're this little kid. But I love Commander Keen. I played so much of that as a kid. So the fact that they're doing like a reboot imagining of it, I think is really fucking cool. And I'll probably end up playing that on mobile.
It's like Commander Keen's Kids. I don't know if it's a kids game or not. Like, they bleeped a curse during the trailer. Like, they curse in the trailer, and it's bleeped. So I don't really know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't care. If it's a game for kids, then I'll play it anyway. And if it's a game for me, I'll probably play it.
Yeah. I really liked all Nintendo stuff. Yeah. That Breath of the Wild sequel that's going to be coming out sooner or later.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, they ended with that, and I was just like...
Yeah, oh, God. Like, I cannot wait. I watched that like 5 times in the first half hour that it was out. Weird, I guess I'm ready for that again.
That weird know-nothing, like, trailer. That's sort of like, this is all new assets, though.
Hey, the more they keep my attention away from the fact that Metroid Prime 4 got delayed infinitely is good.
This is never happening.
That's fine. I'd rather it never happen than it happen shitty.
Yeah.
You know, that's really kind of how I feel about Nintendo. And I think that they're doing a really good job with that. I was reading something on Reddit this morning that the reason that Animal Crossing got delayed is because they don't want to put their people under crunch time and do those 100-hour weeks that have fucked over like every other developer in the last few years.
Yeah, and it's definitely getting
props to you, Nintendo.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot more attention. I know Respawn got some flack for the crunch, and they're trying not to crunch as many people. I'm sure there's plenty of studios out there that do, however, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Especially because they come out 3 years later and be like, hey, I'm supposed to have all this overtime that you never paid me. And they're like, nope.
Overtime? You mean time?
Yeah.
We're not going to pay you for that either.
No. You're not getting paid.
No, it's scary, and I don't know. I'm sure the next few years are going to have a real big reckoning in games, but hopefully the right companies make it out of this thing and, you know, are continuing to treat their people well. It sounds like Nintendo's doing a good job with that. You know, they're not forcing Metroid Prime 4 out. They're not forcing people to work 300-hour weeks for Animal Crossing.
No.
So that's kind of always been the story with Nintendo, at least from my perspective, is, you know, quality over quantity.
Yeah. I think a bad game is bad forever. It is one of the Miyazaki's most famous lines. Miyamoto. Miyazaki is the film man. Also a video game man, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you, out of all the stuff at E3, the one that caught me most off guard is the fact that they're redoing Final Fantasy VIII, which is the game we all kind of assumed was lost to time. I don't know how deep you are into Final Fantasy worlds.
They lost the source code at some point, I think.
I guess.
Was one of the reasons they hand-waved away why they couldn't do it.
But here we are. We're getting Final Fantasy VIII. And, I really liked that game. I'm very excited to play Final Fantasy VIII on my Switch when that comes out. I think later this year.
I don't know. But I was always a Final Fantasy VI fan. That is my all-time favorite.
6 is fucking awesome. The Super Nintendo was the best console in history. Period.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite all-time. Period.
And I think it kind of comes down to the fact that memory storage was ahead of graphics technology, so they put more fucking game on the cartridge and weren't worried about trying to fit more polygons in there. Yeah. I was just having this debate with somebody earlier. As somebody who's a big Nintendo person, what's your favorite Zelda
Link to the Past
of all time? Okay, yeah, totally reasonable. Yeah. Like, the amount of rose-colored glasses I feel people have for Ocarina of Time, which, don't get me wrong, is a very good game. Yes. But Breath of the Wild annihilates it in everything except for dungeon design.
Correct.
Because Ocarina of Time did not age well. It is a pain in the ass to play. It is broken as fuck.
Yeah, and
And Breath of the Wild is the pinnacle of 3D games.
It is way better in every measurable thing except dungeons.
Yeah. And like, again, with dungeons, Link to the Past does a better job, and Link to the Past did a much better light and dark, future and past kind of world thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're coming out with the Link's Awakening remake.
Oh my
Did you see that they're going to have
excited about
they're going to have a dungeon
the
maker?
Dungeon Maker.
Are they just like slowballing the like Zelda maker into the market?
Yo, that is
like
that is so Nintendo. They are so low key about every best fucking announcement ever. Like the Nintendo Direct a few months ago where they announced Mario Maker 2, and they just lead off with they're just like, yeah, we're not even going to worry about being like a teaser. It's like, here's fucking Mario Maker 2, and it's coming out in June. Fuck you. Yep. Go to the eShop, download this now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did. It's been preloaded on my console for like a month. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I cannot wait.
I loved the reason I love the first Mario Maker so much is because it was basically Mario Paint 2.
Yes.
There was so many Mario Paint references in there.
The fucking Undo Dog is in there.
I have an Undo Dog t-shirt.
I love this. I love the fact that this is true.
I will make sure everyone can see that here soon.
Okay.
It is great.
Dude, I bought a Wii U because Mario Maker existed. If I hadn't discovered Grand Pooh Bear and, all them playing Mario Maker, I never would have gotten back into video gaming. But like Mario Maker got me back into video gaming after the Wii. I enjoyed the Wii for a few years and I kind of zoned out. But like the Wii U, Mario Maker got me back into gaming and I love it. The Switch is the best console since the Super Nintendo. And I will, hot take, say I would not be surprised if the Switch turns out to be the best console of all time, or at least one of the most important consoles of all time.
That's some hot takes.
Dude, we're 2 years in, and it's produced Mario Odyssey, it's produced Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all this shit. And now we're getting, like, all of the indie game support is on there. Celeste,
Finally.
have you played Celeste?
Yeah.
Celeste is fucking amazing.
Absolutely.
And, like, it's become almost a meme at this point where you say, like, every game is better on Switch, but it's true because every game is better on the Switch because you can take it anywhere.
Absolutely.
I guarantee that every other console is going to be looking at this. How can I take this on the road model in the future? And PlayStation's going to fuck it up. They're going to put, all this weird shit, and Microsoft's going to make it so you always have to be online. Yeah. Which is a great idea, but it won't work.
Nope.
And Nintendo's going to continue to, trudge along with its horrible fucking online service and amazing games.
I ended up getting a free year of that through the Amazon deal. That's the only reason I have it.
Man, I really hope that we get a SNES Flicks like we did with the NES Flicks.
Absolutely.
Just the thought that I could play Super Metroid on the go. Oh my god.
Did you see the Secret of Mana collection that they just released? The Secret of Mana 3 had never been released in English before, and they just kind of just dropped it after 25 years of people begging for this game. They're just this
is why I'm still holding out hope that Mother 3 is going to come out literally ever.
Yeah.
I was a huge Earthbound fan. I love that game so much, and
I know the strategy guide with the smelly stickers.
At some point in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to get Mother 3, and they're going to be like, fuck it, here's, Earthbound 99 or something is what they're going to call it. Or Earthbound 2020. There you go. Earthbound 2020, releasing next year on your Nintendo Switch. I just made it up. But it's going to happen. Please. Because Nintendo, like I said, does not care about hype. They're just like, you know what? Here it is.
Here.
We've done it.
You're going to buy all this shit anyways.
Here's Breath of the Wild 2. Here's Mario Maker 2. Here's, whatever. Like, literally anything you could ever want. I might buy this Animal Crossing game. It looks really pretty.
I've never been an Animal Crossing person, but, maybe. Cadence of Hyrule comes out, like, tomorrow?
Thursday. Yeah, I have preloaded that. I'm going to leave my Switch on overnight so that I can play it on the plane to Origins. Yeah. Cadence of Hyrule is going to break my 150 hours straight in My Time at Portia, which is what I've been playing since April.
Yeah, I've heard that's very good, but I have not picked it up.
If you have infinite time and you like, Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing kind of style life management stuff, My Time at Portia is really good.
Yeah, it's like a 3D one, right?
Yeah. It's farming and crafting and social management in
Dungeons or
kind
something.
of post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, yes, post-apocalyptic.
But a really pretty post-apocalyptic.
Because you're...
It's like really pretty and cutesy post-apocalyptic, but it's got really good relationship systems, and you get to, I don't know, trick a cat into living with you, and you can do all the other fun stuff. And yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. It crashes every now and then, but I don't care. You can just restart it.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's not that expensive. It's like $30. You should probably get this.
Yeah, probably. I'm a big PC gamer, so I always wait for like the good sales on Steam, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have we talked about everything? We got E3.
I don't know.
We got production.
You got anything else you want to talk
We
about?
got beer.
I've heard of beer.
Yeah. And I talked...
My beer is empty, so I'm going to move on to this energy beverage now. This is either a terrible idea or a great idea. I'm about to have a Bang Energy rainbow unicorn flavor. Well, if I don't make it out of this podcast alive, you know what happened. It was a rainbow unicorn.
Yeah, someone will need to transfer your files over for us.
Danielle knows how to work the computer. She knows how to do all this stuff now, too.
She can do it. I guess that moves us on to the end of the episode, which will be a fan feedback, which is always a fun part of our episodes, where we go through...
Now, where can they send this feedback to?
Let's say emails at milehighgameguys.com, or...
God, it's so nice to be there live for that, for once.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
Can you do it one more time for me?
Emails at milehighgameguys.com. I'm very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Or Board Game Geek Guild's number 2731 over on your boardgamegeek.com, and you can find a thread for these episodes, like this one.
Yeah. Ooh.
Where Patrick Hillier of...
Patrick and Eric in the morning.
How does one ask a question?
No, that's a question.
That is it. That was a question.
Well, first when you're going to ask a question, and this is advice that I have for everybody, have an idea of what you want the answer to be, or at least what information you want to get. Because if you can choose the information you want to get, you're going to be able to form the question correctly. Like if I want to know, I don't know, what's Jeff's favorite beer that he might have been involved with, I know my knowledge of Jeff, and I'm going to be like, okay, he's been really, really proud of Baptist, and he's talked about Big Bad Baptist a lot. So I may be like, hey, Jeff, how do you feel about Big Bad Baptist? And then he'll probably say something like,
I really like Big Bad Baptist.
I understand, man. That's a great beer that I've had a really great time with. So I hope that helps, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. Second question. What's up?
I mean, not a whole lot, man. We've been recording a podcast for an hour and 10 minutes, so I think you have a pretty good idea of what's going on in our lives right now, Patrick.
You've heard it from top to bottom.
Patrick, I'll see you tomorrow, or yesterday, or actually probably a bunch of days ago, because I doubt you're going to listen to this at Origins.
Absolutely. I'd like to hear a pun off between Zach and Jake. Can you make this happen? No, we cannot, because it is a one-on-one interview. No Zach here.
Zach's not here. It's like... People, like, I do some puns on the show from time to time, and I think it's fun. It's good to mix those in, but people, like, they focus on the puns as being such an integral part of my life, but the puns are such a small amount of what I like to get across on a typical episode of Draft Mechanic, or even, like, in real life. I make the same jokes no matter where I am, but, like, some people are so focused on the puns, and it just drives me crazy. I don't want to be a pun-dimensional person.
I died.
I'll leave that one out there for everybody. Thank you so much for letting me have that.
That was the energy drink talking. He apologizes.
Again, I've been thinking about that one all day as well. Thank you. This is the process behind the puns.
I've just been a nervous wreck all day. I had to do an interview today. That's all I did.
Dude, this is like one of probably one of the most low maintenance interviews you've ever had.
Absolutely.
I'm not like Matt Leacock or something, or Jamie Stegmaier.
Interviewed him twice.
That's whenever interviewing Jamie Stegmaier is the most nerve-wracking interview I've ever had to do, because he is like the nicest, most humble person I've met in board gaming. And it blows my mind. And I just feel like completely inadequate talking to him because he's such a good guy. Like, I've been to his apartment, I've met his cats, and I still feel like, it's Jamie Stegmaier. I have to be good enough to talk to Jamie right now. But he's just like, yeah, these are my cats. Would you like to pet them? I'm like, yes, sir. Please let me pet this large cat.
It's an orange cat. A Garfield-like cat, some would say.
Yep. Walter and Biddy, they are very nice.
No cats. You know cats.
Mm-hmm. I know cats. There's a cat. He's back again. He's went downstairs for an hour, and now he's come back up. He's staring at me.
He knows it's food time.
Dinner time is within the next 60 minutes, which is unbearable. I'm getting word from the cat right now that this cat has never been fed in his entire life.
I've heard that about most pets. They just never get fed, and then that's it.
Any other good questions or feedback?
That's it.
All right.
That's all there is. Andrew was going to throw one up, but he didn't, so...
I'll do the reversal here. Jeff, how do you keep your hair so lusciously fluffy?
So I wash it, and then air dry, a little bit of towel dry. And that's just how it comes out at all times.
It's fabulous, and I adore it. And you have some of my favorite hair in board gaming.
I have never had my hair long until the last, 3 years or so. I want to say, let's say the driver's license picture from 2017 was me getting a little long, but I haven't cut it at all in years.
Yeah, I remember Geekway, not this year, but last year, I drew the comparison between you and Matt Hardy, except Matt Hardy is putting on... Matt Hardy, the professional wrestler, WWE, part of the Hardy Boys, if listeners out there don't know. Look up a picture of broken Matt Hardy, and he's got this big poofy hair with this shocking white streak in it. Now imagine if that wasn't a character and they didn't force the white streak in there. Jeff just has that hair because it's fucking amazing. It's breathtaking. Some of the best hair that I've ever seen.
It's just what I have. The grandparents don't like it, but, because I'm long hair hippie now, but...
Olds!
Yeah, I haven't had a haircut since, November 2016?
Dang, man. I haven't had a haircut since, 3 o'clock today.
Yeah.
I got my haircut in preparations for Origins, because I guess that's a thing.
Sure. I didn't get a haircut in preparation for all the conventions that I go to.
Well, it's your calling card. Oh, that's Jeff. I can see him from across the room. I know that's the guy who's going to come talk to me from Mile High Game Guys.
Yeah.
And have a clear sentence.
Absolutely. I meant...
Love you, Zach.
Yes. I met Lance from TMG this year at Geekway. I had emailed back and forth, but it was a face-to-face for once, so maybe he'll remember the hair. Next...
You gotta be distinctive.
Yeah. Next year, Geekway. How many ballrooms do we need for the beer share?
I don't know, man. For the bottle share this year, we had... it probably felt like 50, 60 people. And one of the Geekway organizers that I met with, he came by the thing. He skipped out of the Geekway patron mixer to come hang out at a bottle share, and I freaking love it. They're already thinking about next year, and I want to get a bigger space next year, and probably not double book it with the patron mixer, just because I feel like that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
But get a nice, a nicer space. Maybe get something with some coolers. I feel like we should plan ahead and bring some coolers with ice. That would be a really good move.
Yeah, I definitely had some pre-mixer ice emergencies to get the beer cold because the fridge was not working.
Yeah, so we'll plan a little bit further in ahead next year, or we'll plan with the same amount of time, but do any actual planning. Yeah, I think is my move.
Just show up.
Maybe we'll get you guys a banner as well.
There was a fucking ton of beer this year.
Holy crap! When we got the thing set up and we set it up and they said, oh yeah, 24 tickets because we have to have tickets. And then for they sold out in 6 minutes. These free tickets sold out in, a day or something after the events went up. And people kept DMing me on Twitter and be like, yo, can I just come hang out? Or oh, well, we turned away. I'm like, no, we're not going to turn anybody away. And at this point I realized that this was a mistake and maybe we should have had some kind of plan whatsoever.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
It would have been a little better if there wasn't those huge round tables in there. There would have been much more space. There was 5 of those huge round tables that could fit 8 people around each table. That 2 of those could have gone away, and it would have been a more comfortable space.
Yeah, or we get a bigger space.
An executive boardroom.
The round tables are nice. Oh, those boardrooms on by the fancy gaming zone are pretty dang nice. That might actually be the move. Get one of those and, take it over for an evening and, get some coolers in there and just really make a deal out of it. But something like that. And just a little more structure. I kind of dropped the ball on a lot of that stuff and that we just kind of said, oh yeah, just bring beer. But having an actual bottle swap, like a white elephant bottle swap would be a really smart move. The way they do the trade table at Geekway. Have you done that before?
I have not.
So the trade table at Geekway is one of my very favorite things in the entire year. You bring, a few games that are decent quality games, and you drop them off there, and they do like an electronic raffle, pick one person at random. That person comes up and grabs a game, and then whoever's game that was gets to come draw next. But we always bring, 3 to 6 games to this thing. And this year we walked away with like Feast for Odin plus the expansion, Star Trek Fleet Captains, Haven from Red Raven Games, and a copy of Detective from Portal Games. Like, it's good quality shit. And doing something like that with bottles, straight up like, hey, bring a bomber equivalent, like a 22 or 750 of something that represents your local area, I think it would be a really smart move for us to do next year. And I think, that's a thing that I want to plan ahead for.
And then bring one to drink and bring one to trade.
Yeah, bring a 6-pack to pop and one to trade.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we did it. We've solved Geekway. Yeah.
Geekway bottle share problems.
Like, it's both awesome and terrible that Geekway is the first convention of the year, because it is my favorite convention. Period.
Maybe it's just the end of the convention season, and then the new convention season starts a week later.
God, it feels that way. So you guys are doing Gen Con. You doing anything else this year?
I don't think so. What else is out there? Like, we got
PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, PAX Unplugged has been one that I've wanted to go to just because I love the Penny Arcade.
I will tell you, if you are able to find a cheap flight, make it to PAX. I went to PAX Unplugged last year and I demoed for Grey Fox half the time. But it was, imagine Gen Con, but like a Geekway level of chill.
Okay.
So it's like maybe 20 to 25,000 people, but the level that it is, and people are so much of the PAX crowd is casual and new to gaming, that you get this really like chill, not like overhyped crowd coming through. They're just coming through and they're like, I played City of Gears with people that have played like Catan, and they freaking loved it. They're like, holy crap, this is amazing. Yeah. And just like people walking up and down, it was so chill. And I was able to hang out with so many people, both on both sides of the counter in terms of board gaming, industry people and people that are big in the gaming side of gaming. And just like, it was so comfy. It's kind of what I expect Origins to be like this weekend. I think they're about equivalent in size right now, but obviously PAX has the PAX brand behind it, so it brings in that totally different crowd of new gamers, and that's just a lot of fun. And also, Philly's got a lot of good food, too.
Yeah, I've never been to Philadelphia, so...
Yeah. Well, if you come out, I know where some of the breweries are, and we'll make a trip out of it. We'll go to Tired Hands. We'll go to that other one that I've forgotten already.
Good.
Mainly Tired Hands.
Okay. And if you ever come out to Denver, we can go to one of those 157 breweries in the Denver metro area.
Yeah, you got a few. I really want to get out to True at some point, because obviously they're, got a lot of connections to Burial. I want to check out D-Bolt.
Their tap room
and some
is
of the other
so
ones you
loud.
What, True?
Yeah, like, it's
been...
I mean, it's a death metal brewery, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
But, like...
Yeah. Dude, you're a Chicago guy. You've been to Kuma's a bunch, I would assume. So, like, that kind of vibe?
Like, louder.
Fuck yeah.
But it's not a place that you can easily hang out with someone at, because it is so loud that you can't really converse correctly.
All right.
But it's got great beer.
I mean, yeah, I got to go there at some point. I can wear one of my 300 Burial t-shirts and my Burial hat and some of my, other swag, and just be like, oh, it's this motherfucker.
Yes.
He knows those people.
He knows those people.
Cool. Those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got so much out there. Maybe we'll make it out for GABF one of these years. That's probably the most likely chance that we'll get out there.
I love GABF. I work.
And we'll crash on everybody's floor.
Yes. There might be a guest room in Adrian's house as we move our studio into a bigger space for video.
You're moving again?
In the same house.
Oh, okay. Are you guys gonna, ruin the ceiling on that one too?
Well, yeah.
Good.
But it's like a garage, so... so it'll be our third studio move for video.
Ooh.
Yeah. Just dropping those light bombs here at the end of this episode.
Look at y'all growing up.
Yeah.
And us over here at Draft Mechanic. Like, I bought a new desk from my computer. It's attached to my vinyl shelf.
You do have a lot of vinyls.
I do have a shit ton of vinyl, man. Like, I've got at least 1,000 records right here next to me.
That's impressive. What's your favorite vinyl?
What, dude? What kind of question is that? What's my favorite? Like, in what context? Like, one I'm most proud to have, or
the one that is the shining beacon of your collection?
I mean, Danielle got me an original pressing of Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile a bunch of years ago, back when that was new. She also got me the Eels Electroshock Blues when that was new. I have the box set of the Beach Boys Smile, the box set of Death Cab for Cutie's The Barsuck Years, which is a really fucking great thing. I have the Radiohead's In Rainbows over there I'm looking at. I don't know. I have original pressings of all of the Boards of Canada records, which were hard to find and totally fucking worth it.
I've never heard of the Boards of Canada, so...
You never heard of Boards of Canada? Oh, Danielle's here. Hey, Danielle, we're recording live on the Mile High Game Guys. Would you like to say hey to Jeff?
Hey, Jeff.
Hi.
Danielle says hi. She just got home from work. Danielle, what record are we the most proud of having out of all of the records?
Most proud?
Yeah, what do you think? What's
the original pressing of the Fragile?
Yeah, she said the Fragile as well.
Okay.
There you go.
That's it.
Or Super Unknown.
Or what?
Super Unknown.
Ooh, Super Unknown. Soundgarden
Nice.
Super Unknown. I was on an airplane and I was just like looking at Facebook and I saw that our local record store, Lunchbox Records, had just gotten in on a first pressing of Super Unknown by Soundgarden on red vinyl double LP. And I texted Danielle. We lived in the neighborhood of the record store at that time. And I just said, hey, do you think you could make it a Lunchbox right now? And apparently she got there in like 5-10 minutes because we're right there and picked it up. And like, as she was at the register, somebody else came in to get it. And like, I saw you posted that. And she's like, nah, I got it.
I got it.
So even more reasons why I love my wife. Danielle is amazing.
Absolutely.
She is the glue that holds Draft Mechanic together and is the only reason that we have the content we do is because she is smart enough to do it.
Your production notes.
I'm just the loud. Yes. I'm just the loud
Confirmed.
person.
I guess that's it. I think that's...
Yeah, in true Mile High Game Guys fashion, we've recorded an hour and a half here.
And it was entertaining the entire time.
Well, thank you for having me here. I've enjoyed all of it, and it's been a good time.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to come hang out, and I love hanging out with you guys. You're good guys.
We're cool peeps.
Y'all's peeps over there doing your podcasting.
Absolutely. I guess I should throw on the end stuff. If you would like to contact us here at the Mile High Game Guys, you can always email us at emails@milehighgameguys.com.
He did it again.
I did it again. I tweet under Jeff_MHGG. You can find our Board Game Geek Guild 2731 over on Board Game Geek to leave feedback for said episode if you have anything, questions, comments, or concerns of anything that happened during this episode. Jake from Draft Mechanic, would you like to plug anything? Do you have anything going on right now?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Jake from Draft Mechanic, the Board Games and Craft Beer podcast, every other Monday at draftmechanic.net. And you can also find us on social media, Draft Mechanic on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I am obviously tweeting under that. Danielle tweets under Laughs Too Easily. And you can get all of my beer check-ins on my personal Twitter, INDJK, which is somehow still alive. And I only tweet about the beer check-ins from Untapped there, and also when American Airlines pisses me the fuck off. I had a really shitty flight on Monday.
Is that champagne?
Yeah, the Champagne to Chicago to Charlotte, that was, 4-hour total travel. It became 11 hours total travel because American can't get their shit together. I love Southwest. Southwest responded to that tweet immediately and be like, yo, send me your mailing address. We're going to send you some love. And I'm like, yeah. And American still hasn't responded because they're a fucking horrible airline. Sorry if you work for American out there, but I hate your airline.
They probably hate working for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Also, if you can't remember draftmechanic.net, you can go to boardgames.beer, which is an actual legitimate website domain that I purchased.
We have a denvergamenight.com as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Where you can find out.
Is it .beer, though?
It is not.
Mine's .beer.
It's just...
Thank you. You can buy a .beer website.
We should have. Because we do it at breweries.
Oh, jeez. I mean, denvergames.beer, maybe?
denvergames.beer.
Yeah. This all came about because we were talking on Punchboard Media. I wanted to buy board.games, which was available but expensive. Board.games was a website you could buy at one point.
Okay.
So there's a .games top TLD.
Very fancy.
That's the news, and I'm sticking to it.
Great. And I think that's the fancy interview. And I'm also might stand by this depending on how it comes out.
Jeff, this is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
And thank you for sending me that Google Sheets thing that gave me the inspiration for us to talk about podcast production for like 15 minutes of this hour and a half.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just now remembering, we completely forgot to ever talk about how I do all the graphics on my phone. We'll talk about that sometime.
Yeah, you should see our fancy picture that we put up for today.
Did.
Yeah.
You have that new one with a pocket full of llamas,
and then there's llamas on the mountains. And it's got the title in there.
Llama.
There's a portion of the episode where we talk about. I asked the vital question: When do you think the last time a shark ate a llama was?
2014?
2014?
2014?
Okay.
Do you know this
No,
information?
I don't.
Or is
I was
this
just trying to think
hypothetical?
of the last time this mountainous animal had an interaction with a shark, that the shark ate the llama.
I'm going to go with a no, on that
Let's
one,
go
actually.
no. All right.
Yeah. Or 2014. Those are my two answers. No or 2014.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe 2012 when those big tidal waves came over the mountains, brought sharks with them, took the llamas in the water, sharks ate the llamas.
Yeah, I still don't think that there's been a time in recent memory that shark has eaten a llama. Yeah. Danielle just walked back in the room. She's got the reaction, like yesterday we were out on a walk and I asked her, like, yo, I don't know if have you ever seen a duck before?
I have seen a duck.
I've
definitely eaten a llama.
I decided when I turn 36, I'm going to develop a psychosis where I refuse to acknowledge that ducks exist.
Okay.
It's like, when's the last time? I've never seen a duck before.
That's some
I don't think they're
Kingdom
real.
Death Monster ass disorder.
Exactly. Work that into your next Kingdom Death campaign and see if anybody remembers this particular episode.
We'll be starting another one real quick because it's not going well.
Somebody bite all your dicks off
Yeah,
again?
pretty much.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Jake, for joining me, and Danielle off there in the distance. Andrew Cat, which I'd forgotten the name.
Bonus. His name is
Bonus,
and he has wandered off again.
Thank you all for joining me and your record collection on this episode of Fancy Interview Thing from Mile High Game Guys. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Punchboard Media.
where we all
Bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.